Mara loved to wander. Her town, nestled in a quiet valley, was surrounded by dense forests and rolling hills that seemed to stretch endlessly into the horizon. She spent most of her free time exploring the woods, each step taking her further into the unknown. But no matter how far she wandered, she always felt a pull, as if there was something waiting for her beyond the trees, something she couldn't yet name. One summer evening, when the sun was low and the sky painted in hues of gold and lavender, Mara decided to take a new path she had never noticed before. The trail was barely visible, hidden behind a thicket of wildflowers and brambles. It seemed almost as if the forest itself was guarding the entrance. She hesitated, the air around her still and heavy with the scent of pine and earth. Curiosity got the better of her, and she pushed aside the foliage, stepping onto the faint trail. The moment she did, the world seemed to change. The forest grew quieter, as though holding its breath, and the light took on a silvery quality, dappling the ground in soft patterns. Even the air felt different, cooler, fresher, with a faint, crisp scent she couldn't place. The path wound deeper into the forest, leading her through towering trees with trunks so wide they seemed to belong to another time. Their roots twisted across the ground like ancient veins, and their leaves whispered in a language Mara couldn't understand. After what felt like hours but might have been mere minutes, Mara emerged into a small clearing. At its center was a stream, unlike any she had ever seen before. The water shimmered like liquid crystal, reflecting the sky above in perfect clarity. Tiny lights danced on its surface, flickering like fireflies, though there were no insects in sight. The stream's soft murmuring filled the clearing, a sound both soothing and alive, as if it was humming a melody only the forest could hear. Mara knelt at the edge, dipping her fingers into the water. It was cool and smooth, sending a gentle tingle up her arm. As she pulled her hand back, she noticed something strange. The water left a faint glow on her skin, as though it carried its own light. She stared in awe, watching as the glow faded, leaving only a soft warmth behind. She sat by the stream for a while, watching the way it flowed, its current gentle yet steady, as if it knew exactly where it was going. The feeling of being pulled by something unseen returned, stronger now. The stream wasn't just a natural wonder, it felt alive, purposeful, as though it had been waiting for her to find it. Before she could think about it too much, the wind shifted, carrying a faint sound to her ears, a melody, soft and sweet, like the notes of a flute drifting through the trees. Mara stood, her heart quickening. Someone, or something, was nearby. She looked up and saw, for the first time, a bridge crossing the stream. It was made of smooth stones, perfectly placed as though by an invisible hand. Beyond it, the path continued, disappearing into the trees. The music was coming from that direction, beckoning her forward. Taking a deep breath, Mara stepped onto the bridge, the stones cool under her feet. The stream below sparkled in the fading light, its whispers urging her onward. What lay ahead, she didn't know. But she was certain of one thing, this path would change everything. As Mara crossed the stone bridge, the melody grew clearer. It was hauntingly beautiful, each note weaving through the air like silk. It seemed to come from all around her, resonating with the stream's gentle murmurs. The path on the other side was narrower, flanked by ferns that brushed her legs as she walked. The trees seemed taller here, their branches intertwined to form a canopy that let through only faint specks of light. The air grew cooler, and Mara noticed that the soft glow from the stream hadn't left her entirely. Her fingertips still carried a faint shimmer, like moonlight trapped beneath her skin. The thought made her smile, though a quiet part of her wondered if she had stepped into something far beyond her understanding. The music led her to another clearing, smaller than the first, where the stream widened into a pool. The water was impossibly clear, its surface shimmering with silvery ripples.
At the edge of the pool stood a figure.
It was not a person, at least not entirely. The being was tall and elegant, their form both solid and ethereal. They seemed made of the stream itself, their translucent body flowing like water, reflecting the light in ever-changing patterns. Their hair cascaded like a waterfall down their back, and their eyes shimmered with the same glow that lingered on Mara's skin. They held a slender flute, crafted from a material that looked like polished crystal. The figure's gaze met Mara's, and the music stopped. For a moment, the world was utterly still. Then, the figure smiled, a gentle, knowing smile that put Mara at ease despite the strangeness of the encounter. "You've come far, traveler," the figure said, their voice like the stream's melody, soft, flowing, and full of life. Mara hesitated. I didn't mean to intrude. I was just following the path." The figure nodded, their expression serene. "The path chose you, Mara. As did the stream. Few hear its call, and few still are brave enough to follow." Mara's heart skipped a beat. "How do you know my name?" The figure chuckled softly, a sound like raindrops on water. "The stream knows many things, as do I. I am its guardian, a keeper of the waters and all they touch." Mara glanced at the pool, its surface now still and glass-like. "Why was I called here? What is this place?" "This is a place between," the guardian explained, gesturing to the surrounding forest. "The stream flows through many worlds, carrying stories, memories, and dreams. It has chosen you to share its gift." "A gift?" Mara asked, her curiosity outweighing her apprehension. The guardian extended a hand, and a droplet of water rose from the pool, hovering between them. It sparkled with an inner light, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. "The gift of connection," the guardian said. "To understand the flow of life, to hear the whispers of the world around you. It is a rare and precious bond." Mara stared at the droplet, captivated by its light. "Why me?"
"Because your heart is open," the guardian said simply. "You've wandered far, searching for something you could not name. The stream has seen your journey and knows your longing." Mara reached out instinctively, and the droplet floated to her hand. The moment it touched her palm, warmth spread through her body, filling her with a sense of clarity and peace. Images flickered in her mind, memories of her childhood, moments of joy and sorrow, the faces of loved ones she had lost. Each memory felt more vivid, more connected to her than ever before. Tears welled in her eyes, though she wasn't sure if they were from happiness or the sheer depth of what she was feeling. "What happens now?" she whispered. The guardian smiled again, their form shimmering in the light. "That is for you to decide, Mara. The stream has given you its gift, but your path is your own to walk. Know that wherever you go, the stream flows with you." Before Mara could respond, the guardian raised their flute to their lips and began to play once more. The melody filled the clearing, and the world around her seemed to dissolve into light. When the music faded, Mara found herself standing by the stream again, alone. But the glow on her skin was brighter now, and she felt a deep connection to the water, the forest, and something far greater than herself. The stream whispered softly, its current pulling her gaze downstream. The path continued, waiting for her to take the next step. Mara followed the stream as it wound through the forest, her steps guided by the soft whisper of the water. She felt lighter now, as though a veil had been lifted from her mind. Every sound, the rustling leaves, the distant calls of birds, the soft crunch of her boots against the earth, seemed sharper, more vivid. The glow on her skin had dimmed slightly, but she could still feel it, a gentle hum beneath her fingertips, like the heartbeat of the stream itself. As she walked, she noticed that the forest around her began to change. The trees, once towering and ancient, grew thinner and more delicate, their leaves shimmering with a faint silver sheen. The air grew cooler, carrying the faint scent of something sweet and unfamiliar. The path led her to another clearing, but this one was different. It was vast, bordered by trees that seemed to stretch endlessly into the sky. In the center of the clearing stood a circle of stones, each one smooth and worn, as though shaped by centuries of wind and water. The stream flowed directly through the center of the circle, its crystal-clear water splitting and rejoining seamlessly around the stones. Mara stepped closer, drawn to the circle's quiet power. As she neared, she noticed faint carvings on the stones, symbols and patterns that seemed to shift and change when she looked at them. They reminded her of the ripples in the stream, ever moving yet harmonious. Kneeling by one of the stones, she traced her fingers over the carvings. The moment she touched the stone, a sound filled the air, a soft, echoing hum that seemed to rise from the ground itself. It wasn't unpleasant, in fact, it felt strangely comforting, like a lullaby sung by the earth. The hum grew louder, and Mara suddenly realized it wasn't coming from the stones alone. The stream had joined in, its gentle murmurs blending with the sound, creating a melody that resonated deep within her chest. Then, as if summoned by the music, the air in the clearing shimmered. Shapes began to form above the stream, faint at first but growing clearer with each passing moment. They were figures, ghostly yet vivid, their forms made of light and water. There was a woman holding the hand of a small child, an old man leaning on a staff, a young couple laughing as they walked hand in hand. Mara watched in awe as the figures moved, their actions fluid and lifelike. Each seemed to be a memory, a fragment of a life once lived. The child bent to pick a flower, the old man gazed wistfully at the sky. They didn't acknowledge Mara, but their presence filled her with a strange sense of belonging. The stream's voice grew stronger, and Mara felt the connection deepen. These were not just memories of people, these were echoes of the stream itself, fragments of the lives it had touched, the stories it had carried through time. One figure, a young woman with a crown of wildflowers in her hair, turned and seemed to look directly at Mara. Though her face was soft and kind, her eyes held a depth that made Mara's breath catch. The figure raised her hand, pointing to the far end of the clearing, where the stream disappeared into the trees.
Mara nodded, though she wasn't entirely sure why. The figures began to fade, their light dimming until they were nothing more than shimmering motes that drifted into the air. The music quieted, leaving only the soft murmur of the stream and the echo of the hum. Taking a deep breath, Mara stood and looked in the direction the figure had pointed. The path continued, narrower now, and the stream's voice seemed to urge her onward. Whatever lay ahead, Mara knew it would be something extraordinary. The path narrowed as Mara pressed forward, the forest growing denser and darker around her. The trees here seemed alive, their gnarled roots twisting across the ground like frozen waves, their branches reaching down as if to brush against her shoulders. The stream was her constant guide, its soft murmurs now mingling with faint rustles and creaks from the woods. Mara's footsteps slowed as she entered a new part of the forest, a grove unlike any she had seen before. The trees here were impossibly tall, their trunks so wide it would take several people holding hands to encircle just one. Their bark was deep gray, lined with grooves that shimmered faintly, as though the trees wept silver tears. The grove was eerily quiet, the only sound the faint trickle of the stream as it wound through the massive roots. The air was cool and damp, carrying a scent of earth and rain. Despite the silence, Mara felt an overwhelming sense of presence here, as though she were being watched. She hesitated at the grove's edge, her heart pounding. "Is someone here?" she called, her voice barely louder than a whisper. The response was subtle, a faint sigh, carried on the wind. It wasn't threatening, but it wasn't comforting either. Gathering her courage, Mara stepped into the grove. As she moved deeper, she noticed the stream's glow intensifying. It illuminated the grove with a soft, otherworldly light, casting dancing patterns on the tree trunks. The faint shimmer on her skin returned, brighter now, as if the stream's magic was awakening something within her. In the center of the grove stood a single tree, larger and more imposing than the others. Its bark gleamed like polished stone, and its branches formed a canopy so dense that no light from above could penetrate. Hanging from its limbs were dozens of what looked like silver droplets, swaying gently in an unseen breeze. Mara approached the tree cautiously. As she got closer, she realized the droplets were not made of water or metal, they were memories, each one swirling with faint images and colors. One droplet, larger than the others, seemed to pulse with light, drawing Mara's attention. Without thinking, she reached out to touch it. The moment her fingers brushed the surface, a vision engulfed her. She was standing in a field, golden with tall grass swaying in the wind. Laughter rang out,
and she turned to see a woman running toward her, her hair a cascade of sunlight. The woman's eyes were bright with joy, and her voice called a name, Mara's name. The vision shifted. The same woman was now standing by a river, her expression solemn. She held a small object, a locket, and whispered words Mara couldn't hear. The locket glowed faintly before the woman placed it in the stream, letting the water carry it away. The vision ended abruptly, leaving Mara breathless. She stumbled back, her hands still tingling from the droplet's touch. The tree seemed to sigh, its branches swaying slightly. The stream whispered more urgently now, its voice clearer than ever. "Find the locket," it seemed to say. "Follow the memory." Mara looked around, her heart racing. She knew the grove held secrets, pieces of a story that connected her to this strange world. The vision had shown her something important, something she needed to uncover. With renewed determination, she turned back to the stream. Its glow was brighter than before, casting a clear path through the grove. The tree behind her swayed once more, its silver droplets glinting in the light. The grove seemed to hum softly, a sound that filled Mara with both unease and purpose. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, ready to follow the stream into whatever lay ahead. The stream led Mara out of the grove and into a new part of the forest, where the air felt lighter and the trees stood farther apart. The soft glow of the water illuminated her path, its whispers more urgent now, as if it was eager for her to reach her destination. The ground beneath her feet grew softer, the earthy scent replaced by the cool freshness of water. Soon, the stream widened into a river, its waters flowing steadily toward a small clearing. In the center of the clearing stood a stone altar, weathered by time but still intact, its surface engraved with the same swirling patterns Mara had seen earlier. The moment Mara stepped into the clearing, the river's voice grew louder. It wasn't a sound she could hear with her ears but a resonance in her chest, as though the water was speaking directly to her. The altar held a single object, a locket, just like the one from her vision. It was old but gleaming, its surface intricately carved with the same patterns as the stones in the grove. The sight of it filled Mara with a sense of recognition so strong it brought tears to her eyes. She approached the altar cautiously, her heart pounding. The locket seemed to pulse faintly, as if it were alive, its light synchronized with the rhythm of the river's flow. Reaching out, Mara picked up the locket. The moment her fingers closed around it, the forest seemed to exhale. The air grew warmer, the trees swayed gently, and the river's song changed. It was no longer a whisper but a melody, soft and soothing, filling the clearing with a sense of peace. As Mara held the locket, another vision washed over her. She saw the same woman from before, the one who had placed the locket in the river. But this time, the woman was standing at the edge of a vast lake, her expression hopeful. She held the locket high, and its light grew brighter, casting a golden glow over the water. The vision shifted again. Now Mara saw herself standing at the same lake, the locket in her hand. The light from the locket spread outward, illuminating the entire lake and revealing a hidden path beneath the water. The vision ended, and Mara gasped, the weight of its meaning settling over her. The locket was a key, and the lake, wherever it was, held answers. The river's voice interrupted her thoughts, its whispers forming words she could almost understand. "The path awaits," it seemed to say. Mara looked at the locket in her hand, its warmth comforting against her skin. She felt a deep sense of connection to this place, to the river, and to the mysterious woman in the visions. As she turned back toward the stream, now her trusted guide, she realized that this was only the beginning of her journey. The answers she sought lay ahead, waiting beyond the forest, beyond the river, at the lake where the locket's true purpose would be revealed. Taking a deep breath, Mara stepped forward, ready to follow the river wherever it would take her.